what's funny is the only time I really have a hard time here in the studio is when someone either is a little bit uptight, like not uptight, but just they maybe can't articulate. So it's like it's hard. I have to sort of run the show, like really run it, like really work hard. But normally, when you have an expert in, you just ask them one question and they just go. So it's easy. But you've been on radio before, haven't you?
I have. But
Yeah.
I don't know about the expert thing. I like to talk, but
There you go. Well, we have a lot in common, don't we? So, hey guys. All right, so what's going on out there in Facebook land? We're going live in about 5 minutes. So we're going to have a lot of fun today. The weather's lovely, isn't it?
it's
cool.
Gorgeous. The
It's
last
really
couple
nice.
days. Surprising, and
Yeah.
I've been embracing it.
Yeah, it's nice. But you know, I'm going to talk about this a little bit on the show because I'll ask you what you did this past weekend and what you're going to do this coming weekend. But I'm going to Lake Tahoe with my son this weekend. Just to do something active because he's, 12 and whatever. And it's going to be like 55 degrees. I'm like, oh, God. I was like hoping to be like laying out. But and next week it's going to be 80 there. Isn't that crazy? So, but next week I'm going to Phoenix, so it'll be 110 there.
It will. But you won't have the humidity.
No.
Just drink lots of water.
Yeah, no, I've been out there in the summer, so it's I've been there. My uncle lives out there, and he's sick. It's my father's brother, so I'm gonna go, and I always have great fun with my cousins, so it's a lot of fun.
Nice.
So I'm excited to do that. So, what do you have any big plans for the summer?
For the summer.
Just
In July, I go up north, just like you.
Where are you going?
I'm going to go upstate New York, and then I think we're going to jog into Montreal.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm excited about
Literally
that.
jog?
With my car.
Okay. I was like, I didn't know if there was a path.
With my car, and the kids have been practicing their French wee-wees.
Oh, how fun.
They've been funny about
We
it.
got 3 minutes. All right, kids, we're going live in 3. So, you should come to Boston.
Love Boston. I'll be there in October.
I'll probably be there at some point in October.
Yeah, I'll be there in October.
What are you doing a gig?
It's a conference. I go to a conference up there. It's usually in September, but this year it's in October.
Nice.
Yeah.
When in October?
I think it's the weekend of the 12th. So
it's nice weather.
It's a
It'll be
beautiful
nice.
time of year.
It'll be nice. So, who's this? Hey, Laurie Bono, what's going on? Hi, Vanessa. You holding down the fort back in Boston, girl? I hope so. I'm not getting there until July 1st. So, but I'll be there. We'll have to have another meeting. So I'm excited to talk about all this today because I need clarity. We're going to get clarity. You know what? I'm very good at giving everybody else clarity. I'm not good at myself.
Well, we have blind spots with ourselves. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. We bump into those a lot.
Yeah, and I try though. I try to be very real with myself. I know I've been through enough therapy. I know myself pretty well. But, so I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about all this stuff. I love it. And we've got a great month coming up. Last week I had Mark Mayette.
Yeah, he's great.
Well, we had a lot of fun. And then next week I have Steve DiFilippo from Davio's. He's going to be on. And we're going to, he's just sort of created a little Davio's empire. And so I want to talk about how to go get what you want. Yeah. So, and he does a lot of stuff to help other people.
Right, I love that.
He really does. Like, I just saw on Twitter that he was helping kids, like sell products that they've come up with or whatever. And I'm like, he does all this stuff like that.
Teaching them entrepreneurial skills. That's
so
great.
he's really good. So your headphones are behind you on the chair.
So I should
And
put those on?
let me know if you can. We gotta put them on. We gotta ruin the do a little bit. Oh, let me put my glasses on first. And let me know if you can hear okay. Can you hear?
Excuse for bad hair, right?
Yeah. Can you hear okay? Or do you need a little louder? Right here?
I hear it in the background.
Okay.
An advertisement? Is that normal?
What? Yeah, it's like gospel
Okay.
music, yeah.
All right.
All right, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're a Christian station here, I guess.
Nice.
Hi, Vanessa. How are you, honey? Okay, so we'll do this. Okay. So, all right. We're all ready? Oh, we're going to get clarity. I need clarity. Okay. Here we go. All right, we're waiting for the commercial. So, what have you been doing? Just working?
I have. I've been working, and
And your son's out of school?
he is. So we've got 3 at home for the summer. So
Yeah.
we're on the learning curve with that, of how to work in the virtual office. And
Oh, and have people there. I know. Well, that's what yeah. I know. My kids will call me now. I'm like, I need 1 hour a week, and they're calling me at like between 11 and 12 on Thursday. So, anyway, it's going to be a good summer. Excellent
it
summer.
is. It is.
Good positive vibes. Here we go, kids. Ooh, girl, you shine like a Fifth Avenue diamond. They don't make you like they used to. You're never going out of style. It's me. Move south. Love 860. And featuring Living Atlanta. Boy, where to go this weekend. Steffi, you're so classic. Hey, this is Steph Palermo, and it's the Just Steph Show. Everybody has 2 lives. The second one begins when you realize you only have one. We are second lifers. We're empty nesters, newly single, and those starting over. Age 3, your healthy, happy, hip years are just beginning. The bat phone is connected, so give me a buzz to chat today, 404-355-8699. Tell me what's going on in your life. I want to hear from you. We've got a great show today, and I have in my studio, I'm so excited, Katie Karppala. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
I'm
Thanks
so
for having me.
I'm happy to have you here. Yay. Oh, my gosh, we're going to have so much fun. We're going to talk about getting clarity in our lives. So, I need some help.
We all need some help with that one.
And we're gonna. I want to talk because I know you're like the you're like the everything coach. Whatever you need, you're like the guru of coaching or whatever. You've got it all together with everything, life, wellness, all of that. So we're going to talk about some of that with the in the Just Steph rules of dating, because we second lifers need some help with that. So I'm excited, and I'm a podcast on iTunes, so you never have to miss a beat. Just Google or put in your search bar the Just Steph Show, and I'm there on iTunes. And anything you need to know what's going on this weekend and beyond in Atlanta, you can just go to juststeph.com, click the Living Atlanta tab, and it's all there. I have pulled all the resources and put it all in one spot. So, and it's really geared towards second lifers, so that I'm not putting in there, things that like a dive bar and hangovers. It's all the stuff that second lifers would like to do. So if you need to know where to go, Katie, just look there.
I will.
I'll call me, and we'll just go out. So what did you do this weekend?
This past weekend, I went to go see Wonder Woman.
Did you go? I love Wonder Woman. Oh my gosh. Did you? I have to go.
You have to go.
Maybe I'll go tonight. I love the superheroes anyway, but I love Wonder Woman.
I love Wonder Woman too. And do you remember when we were kids, they used to have underoos of the superheroes?
Yes.
Did you have Wonder Woman underoos?
I don't remember having them, but I probably wanted them. I was a little chubby, so like the Wonder Woman garb was not a good fit for my little round body. But maybe now it would. Not too bad, right? I don't know. I always want to be Wonder Woman for Halloween.
Yes, I would love to be Wonder Woman for Halloween. Actually, I was years ago when I could wear the Wonder Woman outfit.
Right.
But maybe one day I'll get there again. So.
Yeah, well, whatever. I'd say just do it, and who cares? Yeah, I love Wonder Woman. So did you resonate with Wonder Woman?
Well, I think that she represents so much to women, and certainly the way that this particular film was portrayed, it shows all the dimensions of feminine energy.
Right.
You can be strong, you can be soft, you can be compassionate, you can have boundaries. So I think for women, she represents something really powerful, like tapping into the wholeness of our feminine energy.
Okay, so Linda Carter, she's still running around, isn't she? She's alive. So I mean, did she have a little cameo in that movie? I wonder.
If she did, I didn't see her.
Oh, that would have been cool, huh?
But Robin Wright was in it.
Okay, tell me who that is.
Remember Robin Wright? She used to be married to Sean Penn.
Oh, I don't know. You know what?
House of Cards.
Okay,
you watch
yeah.
House of Cards?
No.
You got to watch House of Cards.
Okay, I'm bad. I don't watch TV at all. I'm awful. I never turn on the TV. I'm just, I just don't. So, I need to do that because then I need to keep up. This is why I should do this, because I don't know. I need somebody to tell me. Somebody call me up before my show and let me know what's going on.
So you can tell us what to do in town, and we'll tell you what to watch.
Right, there you go.
All right.
There you go. Well, this weekend I was I had my mom hat on, and baseball and everything because I'd been away, and so we did all that. But what did I do? Tuesday night I went to the Barrel House for a fundraiser for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and then I headed over to the Region Cocktail Club, and I saw my girl Deb Bowman, who I haven't seen in so long because I just haven't been going out earlier in the week, and then I headed over to Monty's to see my friend Monty, and that was just crazy. So that's what I did, and so I didn't do too much, but I did get to go out a little bit, so I was glad.
Right.
So, I want to talk about getting clarity in our life and our careers. And, I dug around a little bit and, researched some, articles and everything. But I want to hear from you. I know for myself, coming out of raising my kids for 20 years and 20 plus years, I'm still doing it, but, and then, trying to get back to work, but keep sort of the mom hours so I can do stuff. And,
right.
But I want to do what I love. But I sort of don't feel like I'm trying to get down. Where do I go? So, what are some of the tips that you would have to get clear on what I should be doing?
Well, the first thing is I think you need to get clear on values.
Right.
Sometimes we have beliefs around our values that aren't necessarily serving us, and those can change, but our values don't. But if we get really clear on our values, that's a really good starting point. And
so what's important to us?
Yes.
And
so, for example, your kids are
right.
important to you. That's a value.
Right.
That's a starting point. And so right now, what I hear you saying is you're kind of working, how can you find the balance between what you love and still maintaining this value
right.
of mother? Right.
Well, and then so getting those values down and knowing what those values are, what's important to you, I think for me, personally, especially here in the radio studio, I have a message. And I think the bottom line for me is, everybody is worthy of being loved. And that's that message, that's sort of rock bottom for me.
Right.
And I feel that if somebody comes into my world, into my sort of space in my life, and if they feel that they've been loved unconditionally, then I've done my job. That's really the bottom line for me.
Right.
But, so where do I go from there? I mean, and I don't want this to be just about me, but I want it to be sort of more general so that everybody understands that there's steps that you can take to get clear on what you're doing in your life. Because I think sometimes at 40 plus, you say, oh my gosh, I've hated my job.
Right. And this is where the alignment of lifestyle and values comes in.
Okay.
This is a really important phase
right.
of life to be in. Because a lot of times we may have done things when we were younger or chose a career because we thought that's what we should do, or maybe it's everybody in our family did it, or our friends thought we should do it. And there's something really special and unique about this age where we get to, wait a minute. Is what I'm doing aligning with my values? Is that really who I am? And if it's not, how do I create that? So those kind of questions are very normal, they're very powerful, and they're really an opportunity to create your life the way that you want it to.
So what if, I just happen to be blessed enough to, sort of try and figure my way out into the world. But what if you find yourself stuck in a job, or you're in a career, you're in a job, and now here you are 45 years old, and you can't really afford to quit, but you really hate what you're doing?
Well, this is where the process begins.
Right.
This is where someone gets to be really creative. And when I work with people, it's so easy for us to get stuck in, well, I can't do this because of that, and start thinking really pragmatically, and then we get stuck.
Right.
So it's almost like we need to get out of that and get a meta view.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the questions I ask is, if you had to paint your life, if you could paint it any way you wanted, you didn't have to worry about money, you didn't have to worry about anything, what anybody thought, what would it look like? And you'd be surprised how people answer that. They actually get surprised how they answer it. And then they can start pulling it in to something practical. And they can look at where they are, where the gap is. Okay, what's the first baby step I can do? Now, with saying that, it doesn't mean you're going to get clarity right away.
Right.
You might have to test the waters a little bit. But here's the good news. We have this great thing called choice. So we could start something and say, that doesn't feel right, or that's not a fit, and you can shift gears. And there's ways to do that practically, so you maintain some level of safety net as you're going through that.
So, okay, so I guess it's kind of scary.
It is scary.
It's
any
scary.
Changes.
Yeah.
Any changes.
So how do you get that courage to sort of make those changes? I mean, I guess you have to want it bad enough. You have to, because I see a lot of complacency. And then that sort of leads to not being satisfied in your life, which leads to being unhappy in general. So, I think you have to have that courage to really make those changes. And I say, like, for me, I've made sort of a bunch of changes from when I wrote my book, and when I, started coming on the radio and all of this. I've made some changes in what I'm doing and what I found I really love, because there's some things that, I love, like I love the Living Atlanta portion of my show, but to me, this is where I'm at.
Right, you're in a process.
I like this part, this part of, really trying to help people. And really trying to get clear on myself, or help people, change their lives, and to see that they can do good things for themselves.
So this is what you're saying, is your energy really comes full on when you feel like you are helping, being a catalyst in some way for somebody's growth.
I love a great conversation with somebody, and sort of, talking about the realities of life, and what's good for them, and what works, and what's the meaning behind life and living, and all of that deep stuff. I love it.
So you might have a coach profession in your future, is what you're saying.
Well, I hope I have some profession. I hope I have something where I can actually charge money. So, no. Is that bad?
No, there is a pragmatic piece to life.
Right. No, I think there's, there was, how about that side of it, where you're doing stuff, and and I found that everybody just wants you to do stuff for free. And how do you get that value, at least come across and be, you have to know that there's a value to what you bring.
There is. And you have to own that value. But with that said, and this goes back to kind of feeling where you feel charged or feeling something right, I'm a big believer in giving back too.
Right.
And it's being really clear when you can do that, when it feels right to do that, and create time around that.
I just it gets a little, if you want to, do this, then, you can get a table, and it costs this much money, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like going, oh, God, whatever. It's funny because, but a lot of people in my age group, our age group, they're in a job, and they're not happy. But they're just sort of living their life. And I think, how can we get across I think that there's so much more to life than just, working in a mundane job.
Right.
There's got to be, I feel that everybody has gifts.
And this is where you and I resonate on this subject. I believe everybody has a purpose.
Right.
I believe that everybody has a fingerprint to their purpose that's unique, that nobody else can hold.
Exactly.
So even if somebody's doing the same thing as you, they're not going to do it the same way.
Right, I agree.
And which is great, because when you have that mindset, you're like, if I'm walking in my purpose, somebody else can do the same thing.
Right.
I just need to own and move into that space of what my gifts are. And I know you and Mark had talked about gifts last week. But it's a process to get there. A lot of times, it's doing incremental steps and looking at those wins to start to slowly own it a little deeper. Like you were talking about the things you did. So when you were talking, the question that came up to me is, what have you celebrated? How do you celebrate that? How do you celebrate what you've done so far?
You mean how far I've come? How far I've come since I started to sort of get back into this work world,
right?
Into the real world outside of my children. I'm not really sure how I celebrate that. That's a good question. I mean, I feel very proud that I went from being a stay-at-home mom and I wrote a book, I self-published it, I got on the radio, I've created a little bit of an audience for myself out here in Radio Land in Atlanta, and I feel really good about that. I feel good. I mean, I was out of the work world for over 20 years. So I feel happy. I also feel a little unsatisfied because there's so much more I have inside of me to give back to the world. And I think, and that's how, just to get back to what we were just talking about, so I think everybody does. And so I feel that it's a great disservice to the world when you don't live in your purpose. I think it's wrong. Because I think it's, I think that's what we give back. That's what we're supposed to do. And then we're also happier in there. It's like a win-win.
Right. And I look at it this way, that we're all part of a system.
Right.
And we all work together.
Right. We're all trying to get to the same place, I guess. I don't know where that is, but I do.
But, I thought of something when you were talking about what you've done, but there's so much more you want to do. And immediately what popped up into my mind is when my son had to practice cursive and handwriting. And he just hated it. I mean, he just absolutely hated it. And he was in private school at the time. And a couple of years later, he is in public school, and he does everything in cursive. And it's so much easier for him, and that's his preference for writing. But when he was going through that process, it was just, it wasn't enough.
Well, I mean, I definitely feel like I've gotten much clearer, and really the bottom line has never changed. And my branding, it all fits in that branding. It was just more what, I've gotten much clearer. And I think that it's just, I actually lack the skills, not the skills so much, but the part of what I want to do to get me out there to do it, I almost need a partner because I'm bad at that stuff. You know what you're good at. Mark and I talked about this last week.
Right.
I'm really bad at sales.
Right.
I'm really bad. I don't like it. I don't want to do. To me, I'm the talent. I like to write. I want to have a message. I want to do that, and I want to talk about it. But I don't want to do anything else. It's bad. I know, and I should.
But you see, just in recognizing that of where your strengths are and where you could use support, I mean, that's really powerful. I mean, there takes some humility to do that. But when you recognize that and you can work in a system with other people and leverage each other's strengths for a common goal, it's really powerful.
We're all right. I mean, I spent a lot of money and time in therapy to get okay in my own skin. And I think when you recognize your gifts, and I think when you recognize how great you are and this goes for everybody in the whole world, where you're not strong is where somebody else is, and you can say they're great. And I think then there's no competition and there's no jealousy.
Right.
There's none of that baloney.
And this is where the system thinking comes
Right.
in, that we all kind of work together and support each other. In a perfect world, that would happen all the time, but that doesn't happen. So, being open to creating that connection with others around us.
So if Eve didn't eat the apple, we would all be working in a perfect system in the garden, just happy and running around naked and tiptoeing through the tulips. Right?
I guess that's one scenario.
I don't know. All right, so, I want to talk a little bit about the core of relationships, because I've got some dating advice for second lifers, and it's the Just Steph rules of dating. Here's a few things you need to know if you want to be me all my life. Okay, so I was digging around in your stuff, and I found that you're also a relationship coach. So I said, yay. Okay, we're going to talk about that. I think so. I think it's hard when you're a second lifer, because some things are really much easier because you're more comfortable in your own skin. You say you're not going to change for anybody, and when you start to date as a second lifer, you say, well, here I am, take me, and then the other person says, oh, that's great, instead of the problems that you had when you were younger. So everybody sort of is a little bit more accepting. However, I think we come to the table more cracked and damaged because we've had all these years of sort of heartache. But I think what we have to remember is that where the relationship models that we've seen in our lives where we came from is not necessarily where we don't have to go that way either. So, and that we can make some changes. So what would you say to sort of those comments and really understanding the dating relationships as a second lifer?
There's so many places we could start with that one. It's like such a broad topic.
I know. It is. But, I know that, we've talked a little bit about some of this stuff when we had lunch, but I think that it's just so important for people. And I think some of the same things that you said, knowing your values, right?
It is. And I would say that that's the advantage that this second lifer has, is knowing what's important to them, because they've had some trial and error
right
under their belt. So they're going to be more clear on some things, and being open to other things.
Right.
But when it comes to dating, I would say look for somebody that you get along with. That's a really great starting point. I talked about that either last week or the week before on the show, when I talked about I don't think polar opposites really attract. They might be, chemistry may be great, but I think in the long run, when you want to be with that one person, it's much easier when you have more things in common. I think it is, but there are relationships out there that do work really well where they're opposites as well. I mean, if you are a lot alike, you're going to have the same blind spots. If you're opposite, you're going to have conflict, but you have an opportunity to grow. It really comes back to the mindset of both people that they're bringing into the relationship.
Right.
And for example, this goes back to systems thinking again. So it's not about me, it's not about you, but what about the we, the space in between? What are the needs of that? And when couples can come in with that kind of mindset, they can navigate through a lot of different types of issues. So I think there's a lot of shades of gray with different types of personalities that might get together.
Right. So, I mean, getting along, so what you're saying is basically getting along. You can't, I feel like, just through my own personal experience, since I've been divorced, and I was married for 24 years. So all of that, I find it much easier to be with somebody who has some of the same background as me.
Right.
Because we have the same, we like the same foods, and we like this, we like to do the same things. We understand, we have that understanding. Like, I understand where he comes from because I know where he came from.
Right.
So I understand. I totally get it. So I think that that's a little bit easier. However, I think from what I'm hearing you say is that that's not as much important as it is to be willing to communicate and let down the guard and to talk and to work through the issues.
Well, how are you approaching the relationship? But it's not to discount that you like somebody that's more alike. That's a choice, and that's okay. That's the beauty about we can choose. Like, I prefer someone very close to my age. I just enjoy being with someone who likes similar music.
Right.
And there's no judgment.
Right,
it's not good.
About.
It's
right.
not bad.
Right.
It's something that I enjoy. But if you pair the mindset, a similar mindset of how to approach a relationship into that, whatever your preferences are, that it can make a nice mix.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely. I think we're sort of saying the same thing because I definitely like. I like someone my age too because what are you gonna? I mean, I don't know. What are you gonna do with the 25-year-old? I mean, what are you gonna do? Play Game Boy or whatever? What is it? Xbox? I mean, whose music are we gonna listen to? My disco? I mean, I don't know. I don't get that. But whatever. Yeah, the Last Dance. So. I mean, I could never understand that. Like, when I was on the dating apps, I could never understand why a 27-year-old kid would be interested in me. Like, and I'm going, really? What would we talk about? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it's interesting. I don't understand all that. So, what? But,
and there's some people that are okay with that.
Yeah, to me, I'd rather have more in common.
Right.
I'd like to, I want to go see yacht rock and, I do think, I want to, I don't know, I just like you said, the music and all of that. So I enjoy that. But I think it's interesting. But I also think that it's really hard when we've had a lot of us have not had very, very good examples in relationships, from our parents, and either they stayed in marriages they shouldn't have, or they left, or whatever. And we saw a lot of stuff, especially, I think, for second lifers. I think we are the most, I'm not going to use the word that I want to use, but messed up generation. And it's not really, we cross generations because a lot of our parents had one foot in the 50s and one foot in the 60s. And so everything's a little bit mixed up.
So culturally there was some stuff going on.
Yeah, I think that, some tried to be progressive. And like I said, some people stayed in marriages that they shouldn't have, or they, were there because they had to be, or whatever. And you just don't know why they stayed together, and there's all that bickering and all, whatever. I don't know. I just think it hasn't been a good role model for us.
Well, I think it goes back to mindsets too, of like, where is the we? Where is that space in between, and what are they giving to that space and those needs, rather than thinking about me or thinking about just you, what about the relationship? And as you're talking, it's making me think of one of my favorite people in the world, Lori Hubbs. She mentored me in the relationship, but that's her area of expertise. And
right.
She has probably got one of the most fabulous relationships that I've ever seen. She's been married over 30 years, and she talks about people learn to get good at relationships, their work. That when you see great relationships, they don't just happen. They learn to be in good relationship. So I think that desire, when you have both people have the desire, and it says relationships are work, but I think when you have two like-minded people with that they want to do the work, they want it to make it work, they learn to have a really great relationship.
Right.
So it's a commitment to that.
It is, and I think the bottom line, and this, maybe I'm wrong, maybe you have more to say about this, but I think the bottom line is having the courage to stay true to yourself and to communicate that. and to I believe that being able to say, hey, this is how I feel about this, or this is how, because sometimes we're afraid to do that because you think you're going to lose them. I mean, I know that that's my issue. You know, you sometimes don't say, you don't put on your own oxygen mask first, you know, and instead, and this is my Sicilian mom thing, you know, I'm more willing to concede or to whatever, give up whatever I want so that I can serve the people around me. And that's me. And then I don't put my own oxygen mask on. And then I don't say, well, this isn't working for me.
Right. And that's being clear on what's negotiable and what's not negotiable. But relationships are all about compromise.
Right.
But this is where, going back to the piece of values, having similar values with your partner, you could have totally different personalities, but if you've got similar values.
You know what, yes, definitely. Yes. And you know, and here's the deal. When with the Sicilian, if you are with somebody who's at least from that sort of mindset, you get it. Family is number one, you know, and serving one another is very important. That's what I was talking about, you know, because we were, you know, you're raised the same way. You're raised that way with those values. So I totally agree. I agree. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, more Katie Karppala. I'm going to find out what you've got going on. And this one is for the birthday peeps, Philip McDaniel, Larry Marchant, and Jerry Massara. Happy birthday, boys. Okay. So, all right, what's going on out there? That was good. I just think with the relationships, for me, my hardest part was always just...
This is mine.
Yes. You know, for me, it's always been, I never would ask anybody to change. I would be the one to change instead of, you know, because I'd be like, oh, well, I'm doing something wrong. Or I need to, you know, do this. If I do this, he'll be okay with this. You know what I mean? So
maybe it's not about changing, it's about growing together.
Right. Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's see. Let's see who's there. Brick Peace. Hi, Paul. Okay. So let's see what's going on. But yeah, oh my gosh. I think that relationships are hard. It gets harder. It's supposed to be easy. To me, I'm like, why isn't this easy?
It's always, anything worth anything is, you put the energy in. I
find my angst comes when something doesn't work for me and I have to share that. Because then if you do, they might say, well, too bad, you know, or they might not, they'll leave. Clearly I have abandonment issues. I have abandonment issues and rejection issues and, you know, but you know what the funny thing is I'm very well aware of it. And I know when I'm feeling weird that mode is kicking in on me.
But you see, you being aware of it gives you that pause time to make some different choices.
Which is nice for me because I've learned from my, you know, off-the-cuff Boston self that I can take you know, instead of just going blah, 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 and just whatever I'm saying, I can stop and, you know, I can just think. I don't say things, I think about what I say as at least a lot better than I used to. So, because, you know, being from Boston, you just sort of just say whatever the hell comes into the front of your brain. There's no filter. No filter. So what I want to do is I'm going to ask you about what you got going on, how people can find you and all that stuff and what you're doing and what you love to do. You know my nose runs every time I'm on the air. I think it's the adrenaline or something.
Could be.
I don't know what it is.
Allergies in here too.
Well, you know what though? When I was in Boston, I did the Sicilian Corner radio show, and my nose was running.
Maybe it is adrenaline.
Yeah, it's something. So, anyway. Oh gosh. So I was in Boston for Memorial Day weekend. It was freezing. It was so cold. I had a good time though. had a lot of fun.
Boston's great.
It's a blast.
It's a great city.
It's a lot
I like
of fun.
all the cities. I like
I'm
San
actually going to be
Francisco, Chicago.
I'm going to be speaking in Boston July 19th.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm going to go to some networking event and I get 15 minutes to whatever. Tell them whatever I want, I guess.
You'll do great.
I am not worried. Not worried. I'll figure it out. I'm best under pressure. I'm bad about, I'm like one of those people that like, okay, before I sit, oops, are we off? Okay, okay, that song, okay. All right, that song just ended. All right. So we're back on the air. Yay. All right, so Katie, so tell me what, you've got all these, I don't know what, certifications. You've got everything going on there. What do you do?
Oh, well, first, I'm a lifelong learner. I'm always in a book. But I like to share what I've learned, and I do that through teaching.
Right.
And then I like to support people in the coaching process so they can discover what's most meaningful for them. And I work in the corporate world a lot, and I work with individuals.
So what have you seen change in Atlanta? How long have you been here in Atlanta?
I've been here a decade now. Yeah.
So what have you seen change over these last 10 years with either individuals or businesses? You've seen a lot of change though, right?
Well, the first thing that I would say is the economy.
Right. Absolutely.
That's really the biggest change that I've seen. So people are able to move more into feeling more liberty to move into choice and opportunity, just based on the economy alone. And I would say that there's really a hunger for personal development. At least I'm seeing that through my lens and my work.
Right.
That people
I
really,
think so.
really want to understand how to move into a more authentic space, or how to get better at what they do, or how to really love what they do. And that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I definitely think that people are taking the time to look in the mirror and to figure things out. I mean, that's kind of a scary step. And we know a lot. I know a lot of people that won't do that. But in order to do that, you have to have the courage. But once you do, you can see, okay, this is what do I love? What do I want to do?
Right.
And I think that people are taking more care of themselves, physically, emotionally. There's no more, there was a stigma attached to going to therapy for so long. And I think, people don't want to do it because there's pride, but, it's helpful, So what do you see, what's the difference between a therapist and a life coach?
Well, they're totally different frameworks. Different frameworks. And I'm speaking in general. Of course, every therapist and every coach works different, but there are clear distinctions. Somebody going in therapy is, discovering and healing. They may have been really stuck in something. With coaching, it's more present moment, moving forward, creating goals, and creating accountability. So it's totally different framework, and they complement. The fields complement each other, but they're serving very different needs.
Right. So almost with the life coach, I think with the therapist, tell me if you think I'm wrong, you're sort of getting straight with yourself and who you are and where you came from. And then, with a life coach, you work more towards, growing that and then going forward and maybe in, different areas of your life. I mean, am I wrong?
Well, I can't speak for therapists, and what I do know about my friends who are that they all have their own style,
right,
and how they work, but they're working with deeper things. And
right.
The coaching really is about like here and now and moving
right.
forward, and not everybody is a candidate for coaching. Right. They may be a candidate for therapy.
Right.
There might be other work they have to do that is not in the coaching framework, and that's not our field, that's not our profession, and we're not qualified to do that.
Right.
That is the therapist.
Right. So, so when you deal with individuals, do you do some coaching on how, not just getting clarity, but maybe helping them find their purpose and all of that? So what are some of the things you would do with an individual?
Well, the neat thing about coaching is it's client-driven.
Okay.
So they come with agenda. They lead with the agenda. So we kind of move with that. And it depends on the type of coaching that we're doing. If I'm working with an organization, there may be really clear organizational goals that we're working with.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that's, in transition. It might be a discovery process, and purpose might be in there. Even in the corporate world, there might be executives that, are starting to go through that alignment process of their values, and they're aligning corporate goals with who they are, the kind of brand consistency,
right?
Or they're wanting to refine and get better at what they're already doing. So they want, instead of being good, they want to be great.
Mm-hmm. So, I think I talked a little bit with Mark last week about this. We talked about people who are people that have an unhappy life. Say they have their personal life isn't great. When they go to work, a lot of times they can leave that at the door because they have a purpose to, they have a job to do. But when you're unhappy in your career, you bring that home. And people that are miserable and have a bad day at work, that's just so. It sounds cliche, but you bring it home and you sort of, give it to your family in that way. What would you say to, getting things sort of? I think it has to be a full picture, a full cup, a full life of being happy. Do you help with individuals with all those things, getting all of that sort of in the right place?
Well, that's about life design. Mm-hmm. And we are whole people.
Right.
For example, if I'm working with somebody in the workplace and something's getting them stuck at home, they might not be bringing their full selves to work.
Right.
And vice versa. If they're in stress in a job, they might come home and bring that as well. So kind of creating that congruence, or else, as you use the example, go to work and be okay. They may be keeping face, but they may not be at peak performance.
Right. So they're surviving, not thriving.
Right. So they're maintaining, exactly.
Right.
So, really taking a look at, is this serving me? Is this serving my work? Is this serving my family? Is this serving my community? Those bigger questions. And then kind of looking at that. And one of the things that we do in coaching is we look for, energizers and energy drainers.
Right.
So sometimes people will come with an agenda, and then when we start asking the questions around that, they might become more aware of something that maybe they were kind of pushing away or not dealing with it. And it's opportunity for them to move forward through that. And sometimes it could just be having a conversation with a person or getting a different perspective. So, of course, I'm talking about the people that are in that coaching arena that aren't really stuck. They just need a shift of perspective really quick. If someone's really stuck, that's when they may need to go into the therapy arena.
How do you feel about the law of attraction?
The law of attraction, I do think that there's something to it.
Right. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I think there is something to it, but I don't think it's as simplistic sometimes as it's explained.
Right. I think that's interesting. So how can somebody get in touch with you and find out more about you for either their business or for personal coaching?
They would go to www.authenticdimensions.com, and Dimensions has an S on it. And contact information, all of my information is on the website.
And so are you currently accepting new clients and all of that? Are you doing that?
I am.
Good. Will you come back?
I will come back if you'd like me to.
Oh, of course. So hang around. We're going to do Living in Atlanta. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to do Living in Atlanta. This one is for April Crawford, Bobby Wells, and John Davidson. Thanks for liking my Just Steph and Living Atlanta pages. Oh, my goodness. So I'm going to ask you what you're going to do this weekend. I'm going to ask you what you're going to do this weekend. That's all right. I was finding, I actually, when I get my songs, my music, I try to find something that's in line with what we're talking about. And so I was getting clarity or knowing what, so all I want to do is this song. And then the other one was, it was Pitbull, and it was Feel This Moment. So just being present and being mindful. Because I know we should have talked about that a little bit. Being mindful, because you love that. I know. I forgot.
That's my baby.
Yeah, the mindfulness.
And emotional intelligence.
I love emotional intelligence.
That should be our next one.
Yeah, let's do it. I love emotional intelligence. I love that stuff. Yeah. Oh my God.
Let's do that in the next one.
For sure. But I have a hard time being mindful because I can do it when I'm doing yoga, but like I'm always
Practice.
I'm always, down the road, like, okay, I got to make my reservations for that down, whatever. I'm already thinking about what I have to do this afternoon. I'm already there.
Then we all do that. It's monkey brain.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So I love emotional intelligence because I think that's such a big deal with people. I think in the past, nobody cared about how anybody, I think about that old 1950s sort of factory mindset that no one cared about how anybody felt. You just did what you had to do. And now there's this whole, what are my emotions? What are the emotions of everybody around me? How can I harness it to get the best productivity out of it?
Right. Maybe we should do a segue for that before you get off.
Yeah, we'll definitely do it.
Because I think that's a powerful one. I think people need to hear that. You can give them really good perspective on moving forward, and you're all about the development piece.
We'll do it in August when I come back from Boston, because I got about 1 minute. When I come back, I'm going to be in Boston for 5 weeks, and I'm going to be Skyping my show from Boston.
Oh, awesome.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'm going to have Boston people on my show. I got to find an office where I can broadcast quietly. So, but yeah, so I'm excited about that.
I like his hat.
30 seconds, yeah. I think he's a Green Beret. He was a Green Beret. I think that's what he did that, yeah. So. Okay, you want to know where to go this weekend, and you've been waiting for Living Atlanta. Saturday night? Don't believe me, just watch. Okay, all right, so remember, it's summer, and everybody's out there doing the patio thing, so drink responsibly, drive responsibly, call Uber, Lyft, a cab, a friend, leave your car at the valet, whatever you do. Don't drink and drive, please, because I have heard too many stories about people getting pulled over and arrested for DUI, and we're just a little bit too old to be going to jail. So anyway, what are you going to do this weekend?
I don't know yet.
Well, you'll have to listen to Living Atlanta. Maybe you can make.
I will. I'll have to. I'm usually a last minute or.
See, now I'm so type A. I'm like, okay, what am I doing next weekend?
See, I would like to be like that, but with the people in my house, sometimes they're like, "Oh, wait and see. I'll see how I feel." So sometimes I have to wait.
I'm just so type A. It is what it is. But I'm gonna be at Lake Tahoe this weekend. It's actually
lovely.
I know it is. I've never been. So we're going to do an active weekend with my 12-year-old and I. We're going to do hiking and biking and all that. But, it's going to be like 55 there. I'm like, what am I going to bring? I'm like bringing, I actually left all my winter stuff in Boston.
You did?
I did. And I don't, I didn't even, I have just some stuff, but I'll be all right. We'll be all right. So anyway, Deb Bowman I just saw her Tuesday at the Regent Cocktail Club. And as always, she was beautiful and stunning and just unbelievably entertaining, and she's just great. And so she's at the Regent Cocktail Club in Buckhead, Atlanta. She is also currently playing the Balladeer. She's playing like a rock star in the world premiere of The Dancing Handkerchief. And I guess she told me it's pretty kid-friendly, and it's a theatrical outfit. So you can go to debbowman.com, and there's places to get the tickets. She's also going to be at the Virginia Highlands Music Festival on Sunday, July 3rd, and it's a candlelight cabaret. And that's $10. Bring the whole family. She's also going to be returning to Serenbe and August 3rd through the 27th to play the role of Fräulein Kost in the musical Cabaret. And she is Friday, June 30th. She's going to be at Superica in Buckhead and singing with the Big Love Band, and you can go out there and dance. DJ Vanessa Hunley is... she's at G's tonight doing karaoke and Sunday Fun Day karaoke. She's also on Wednesdays at Metro Cafe Diner from 8:30 to 3. Johnny Perazzo is Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays at Whiskey Mistress. And there's always music every night at Dixie Tavern, City Winery, Venkman's, and Smith's Old Bar. And if you need more information on any of those places, you can check out my Living Atlanta calendar on the JustSteph.com website and just click Living Atlanta. Now tonight there's a big party. I guess all the peeps are going to be there. It's the anniversary party at the Concourse Athletic Club from 6:30 to 9. Tickets are available online, and it's free for members. It's $20 for guests. There's an open mic jam at the Velvet Note from 8 to midnight. And Friday is Fernbank After Dark. It's a summer kickoff party at the Fernbank Museum of Natural History from 7 to 11. There's craft beer, cocktails, there's a giant screen theater there now. It's 21 plus, so no kids for this one. There's also the Atlanta Moon Ride at Piedmont Park, and that's from 7 to midnight. And there's a night of music and comedy at Brooklyn Cantina with Mark Phillips is going to be performing the classic crooner hits of Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., and Dean Martin, Tony Bennett, Bobby Darin, and more. Christopher Presta will be performing the comedy routine of Rodney Dangerfield. That sounds like fun. That's at 9:45. Okay, so Saturday is Cardio Blast at Body Design Personal Training. I will not be there this week, but please go and say hi to my friends and get a 45-minute workout for free, and they'll run your butts off through Georgia Tech. It's a lot of fun. The Decades Crawl at Ree-Raw Irish Pub in Atlanta at 6 to midnight, and this is a bar crawl, and it says 5 bars in your best 80s or 90s attire. So you can look that up on Facebook. It'll be there. Fire and Brimstone Tavern 1-year anniversary celebration is from 7 to 2 a.m. The Hip to Be Smooth, a Hall & Oates Huey Lewis tribute at Earl Smith Strand Theater in Marietta. That sounds like a blast. And the Prince 80s Music Video Dance Party, Purple Edition at Amsterdam Atlanta Bar, and that's from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. This is on Facebook, and you can get this online. Zydafunk is going to be at Northside Tavern, and this is all on Saturday, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., $10 admission. Sunday is concert by the Springs. It's Glow Party Hits. This is in Sandy Springs on the Heritage Green, and it's 7 to 8:30. That's supposed to be really fun. Gone with the Wind film screening at the Fox Theater on Sunday, and the Cosmic Gypsies are at Johnny's Hideaway. Have you? That's really a fun night. If you want to go to Johnny's, go on a Sunday night. It's 8:30. It's a $5 cover. It's live music, and it's all the fun music, and it's not so packed. And it's really nice, and it's really the dance floor is great, and the music is always great. So, and looking ahead, New York Prime has a wine dinner on the 25th of June. So we were just talking when we were off air about you coming back and what we should talk about next. So what we were talking about being mindful and emotional intelligence. What do you think about that?
I think that would be great.
Yeah, so what can we tell our audience that would help them to understand what mindfulness and emotional intelligence are?
Well, mindfulness is really the conscious decision to bring your attention to the present moment.
And that's pretty hard.
It's a skill. It's a skill, but it's one that can be learned.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that when you come back in August. And emotional intelligence is harnessing our emotions and those around us for better productivity and.
It's recognizing our emotions, and this is where mindfulness is very compatible with this. Is mindfulness allows us that pause time, because emotional intelligence is not necessarily when we're having a good day, but it's that moment where we're like, and we feel triggered, or it's that pause time that we need there to make a better choice rather than going straight into reactivity. So emotional intelligence is not linear, and we can get into that more when we're on the show, but it's a very interesting subject.
I love it. I think it's great. And so, because I have a hard time being mindful, but it's okay. I'm going to get there. We're all going to get there. So, all right. So don't forget, I'm a podcast on iTunes, the Just Steph Show, and my Living Atlanta calendar for all that you need to know, because everything I talked about and more is on the calendar right now. So you can plan your weekend, your week, whatever. If you're type A, you'll know what you can do next, in 3 weeks. It's all on the calendar. I got a big Boston shout out to the birthdays. My cousin actually out in Arizona, Malo Palermo Sackett. Happy birthday, Malo. I'll see you next week. Trisha Reeves, Vinci, and David Ferraro from high school. Love you guys. Happy birthday. And next week, I have Steve DiFilippo, Going After Your Dream. And after that, we got Brian Faze and Shane Aubrey. The following weekend, it's all about being entrepreneurial. So check me out on Facebook, Twitter, at Steph Palermo, YouTube, Instagram, Just Steph1. I'm doing Snapchat now with my nieces. I'm doing a streak with my niece. So I don't know. They just, you got to keep responding. So so I'm doing that. So I'm getting good at that. My kid's like, oh God, Mom's doing Snapchat. So I'm on there, I guess, and whatever. So I'm everywhere. So and again, where can we find you, Katie?
www.authenticdimensions.com.
All right. So that's it. We're going to see you next week. Know I love you all. Wishing you love, balance, and peace. Ciao, ciao, baby. Whew. All right. That's good. Next time we'll do all that stuff. Jeez. I felt a little discombobulated today.
You did?
I did. All right, kids. We got to go now. I love you all. Bye.